next movie on our list is one of my personal favorites. It's The Hitcher. It came out in 1986. And
Go Rutger.
It stars Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh's actually in this movie too. So, anyways, The Hitcher it's such a simplistic movie. What I love about this movie is there's a college kid in the movie. It starts off with him and he picks up a hitchhiker, and we've all heard the story. Don't pick up hitchhikers, but he decides to pick him up. Like,
I thought the saying was to never pick up Rutger Hauer.
Well, that's
that's true.
And so, right off the get-go, like 10 minutes into the movie, it's raining, and I think that's where the character, the protagonist, felt bad for the hitchhiker. Says, "Oh, it's raining. I should pick him up." Picks him up. Like 10 minutes into the movie, they're having this like dialogue, and then Rutger Hauer pulls out a knife and tells him like, "I'm going to kill you," kind of thing, whatever. And so then C. Thomas Howell kicks Rutger Hauer out the door of his car, and he starts screaming, "Ah, yeah!" like he's celebrating. And then the whole point of the movie is just that Rutger Hauer is just playing a cat and mouse game with him, and he's just really there's no rhyme or reason of why he picked him or why he is messing with him, but he is the whole movie. He is attacking him. He's playing, he's kind of just playing with him, and he's messing with him. He kills Rutger Hauer.
It's like a cat and mouse game.
Rutger Hauer kills these cops, kills other people, but the whole thing is he's kind of just like messing with the protagonist, and he's not necessarily killing him, but he's killing all the people around him. So he keeps kind of like pushing him over the edge, but he has plenty of times where he can kill him, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then
so he's playing psychological mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and the movie is just like, it's fast paced. It's not fast paced, but there's always something going on. So there's never like there's never downtime in it. There might be like 5 minutes of downtime, and then it picks up into the next thing. And it's a great movie. I love it because it's just so, from start to finish, like I said, 10 minutes in, it gets going. And from that until the very end, it's just, I guess you could say action-packed. It's not necessarily a horror movie, but I would kind of...
It's a thriller.
It's a thriller. Yeah. But it's definitely a movie, like I said, you can see throughout the year. But since it's Halloween, it's something that I would definitely check out. It's one of my personal recommendations because it's one of my personal favorite movies. So definitely check out The Hitcher this Halloween. The next movie on our list is The Fly. It came out in 1986, and it stars Jeff Goldblum.
So this is another one that's directed by David Cronenberg. So again, you're looking at a body horror movie, kind of like, or a couple of the other ones we talked about, like, or we've seen, like
From Beyond,
or something like that, where it's Cronenberg always has his own style. Like, he's done Videodrome, he's done a few others like that, where it's very, bodies, something creepy happening to your body, like something being ripped apart or whatever. So anyway, this stars an all-star cast, though, because it has Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, John Getz, quite a few other people, and directed by Cronenberg, like we said. So it's one that's a classic for me because the special effects are so good on this movie. Like the gore effects are so classic. Obviously, this is a remake of the 1950s The Fly, which was, for the time it was terrifying. Now you look back on it, it's really cheesy. But the remake, though, is so effective, though, because instead of in the old one, I believe it, I haven't seen it for a long time, so forgive me, but the scientist is like telling his wife or significant other that, he's done this horrible experiment where he went into this pod to try to like transport himself, but there's a fly in there as well, and so all of a sudden his cells merge with the flies, and so he's wearing, I think, something over his head the whole movie, and at the end of the 1950s one, then she like pulls the thing off his head, and he just has this huge fake giant fly mask, and she's like, classic 1950s.
Devastating!
But in this one, see Jeff Goldblum where he arm wrestles the guy and he like snaps his arms or like the bone sticking out or whatever, and then all of a sudden pieces of his flesh starts to peel off and everything. So it's a slow process where his body is just degrading. Like, things are happening. He's changing. He's morphing, and you don't know what's happening. And soon he's just like dripping like saliva and all this gross stuff.
So gross.
And Gina Davis, his girlfriend, is in the movie, is trying to figure out what's going on. And so anyway, it ends with this great climax of just this metamorphosis that he goes through, turning into no more just man and fly, but a full fly. So anyway, it's a classic for the special effects, the directing, the writing, the acting. It's a classic. It's one you have to check out. Not just this Halloween, but it's probably one you're going to want to see again because it's that compelling and that good.
So The Fly, check it out for Halloween this year, next year, or some year. The next movie on our list is a little movie called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It came out in 1986, and it stars Dennis Hopper.
The family that chains together stays together.
There you go. So,
oh my gosh.
this is the sequel to the the one that came in the 70s, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This one's a lot different because the first...
So campy.
Yeah, this one's a lot more campier. The other one, we talked about it in the 70s review, that it was more kind of like, it was very grainy, it was very, kind of grindhouse. You didn't know if it was real or not, if it was a documentary, if it was real, whatever. But this one's straight camp, a lot of fun. They kind of just took it in a different direction. I think because of the success of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they wanted to jump on that success and make it better in a sense of like, okay, let's get an audience now with the campiness, and it's 80s. It's in the mid 80s now, so the camp factors of Jason and Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and whatever.
Yeah, and doesn't
go ahead.
Oh, doesn't this one center around like a girl radio DJ? Aren't they?
Yeah. She's
like
metalhead or whatever goes to the studio.
Yeah,
he's like, I like music, and he plays whatever. And he's like scratching, and he like pulls off his
toupee.
Yeah,
it's so
and he
gross.
has like the metal plate on his
and
head
he keeps
with
like
flesh,
scratching it
and
off.
He lights the hanger like with a Bic lighter to heat it up. He scratches his flesh and then like eats it, like pulls it off.
Yeah,
like,
it's
just so gross.
So gross, and like that scene where she's like leaving the radio station is totally out of like Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that's interesting because it's clearly from the poster. If you guys look up the poster, which we should be showing it now for the podcast, but it's the poster is a ripoff of the Breakfast Club poster. So it's an exact remake of the Breakfast Club.
I've never thought about
that.
that.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So they're parodying the Breakfast Club. So that it's clearly they wanted to kind of go off the rails with this one. Toby Hooper directs again. He's back in the director's chair, and he does it in a really effective way again. But it's not meant to be serious like the first one. The first one is still creeping people out today.
Yeah.
This one is more of a like kind of a laughing comedy thriller or whatever. Because I mean, everything from Leatherface's dances, he goes "Roar!" and like shakes the chainsaw above his head and does this like little like tap dance like a clown or something. And most of the time throughout the movie. At one point, he's in that radio station with the female DJ, and he's kind of like provocatively thrusting the chainsaw between her legs, like it's really creepy.
Yeah,
but it's done in such a campy, funny way that it's not necessarily scary. It's really something you have to laugh at, and it's very obvious. I think Toby Hooper, for whatever reason, decided to go completely campy and funny with this one.
Yeah. So I mean, I think one of the reasons I believe he wanted to go more campy is because, like I said, they were establishing the horror icons that were Jason, Freddy. Myers, and even Chucky was getting in the mix there. So I think Leatherface was an icon, but what we had with Leatherface was such a serious movie that maybe he wanted a little more camp factor because all these other scary movies were starting to get more campy. So it's like, hey, let's jump on that bandwagon. So since Leatherface is such an icon and he is creepy, maybe he can be campy as well. I mean, that's just my opinion or my view on it. But anyways, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, definitely check it out. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more campy. Some kind of not disturbing parts, but there is gore in it.
Oh yeah,
Dennis Hopper's the man. That's all you need to know. Watch it for Dennis Hopper.
So anyways,
he's so good.
I'm bringing this whole mother down.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, check it out this Halloween. All right, the next movie on our list is
They're Here.
Poltergeist. It came out in 1982 and it was directed by Toby Hooper. And the screenplay was by Steven Spielberg, and it was produced by Steven Spielberg. Poltergeist is definitely a mainstream movie that is a horror, I guess you could say horror, scary movie, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It is a movie about a house that has a spirit. This house is clean.
You didn't tell me this house is buried on ancient Indian burial ground.
Oh, my gosh.
I said he mentioned it about 3 or 4 times. So, anyways, Poltergeist is it's one of those movies that it's like a haunted house kind of movie. A lot of creepy things start happening. What's fun about this movie is that there's kind of, I guess, like college students or a professor comes and they start investigating, and it's kind of like over their head. So then they have to bring in a medium, and
she's creepy.
And she's creepy. She's like, I don't know if she's like
she's a little person, I think. And,
so she has a super high pitched voice, and she's like, "Go into the light, little girl, go into the light," because the girl gets sucked into the television. There's a lot of creepy aspects of this movie. I mean, all you need to know is it's a haunted house movie. Their house is possessed, and it needs to be cleansed.
And it's got one of the most iconic scenes for me from when I was a kid. I saw it on TV or something like that, and it was a scene where the girl's in her bed, and she feels like something's moving, like one of her toys or something, and she looks underneath the bed on one side, and there's nothing. And then she looks underneath the other side or whatever, and then she lays back down in bed, and it's her clown doll.
It's the boy. The boy saw
it's the boy. That's right.
And then the tree too.
It's so creepy.
So there's like a lot, and then like the hands and the TV, and then the skeletons. I mean, it's just so many.
Dude, and like the scene where like she actually gets sucked into the closet.
Oh,
And-
no, yeah. So
yeah,
the
and she-
closet opens up and it's sucking everything
Yeah,
in.
and like she disappears, and
The special effects are awesome.
Yeah,
and like
it's definitely Spielberg.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
And the scene where they're like trying to communicate with her, and she's like,
it's kind of
in
like
the beyond.
echoey and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I'm
totally-
somewhere where I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
it totally reminds me of what's the movie recently, Insidious?
Oh yeah, that's perfect. You're right.
Where like he's in the beyond. It's kind of like that.
Oh yeah.
That's an excellent
great
point. So, and the thing about this movie is like there's a lot of creepy parts. It's not necessarily gory because it's a mainstream movie, so there's a lot of creepy parts. But there is this one scene that's really it's disturbing, and it's where the guy's like trying to pick. It's not like a pimple, but he's picking something, scratching something off his face, and then he's like just tearing his face off in the mirror.
Yeah,
and
like
he's
the flash is coming off.
Yeah, and he's just like and then he like closes his eyes, and then he's like back to normal. It's like
I think the thing that's kind of fun about this movie though is when they first find when the mom first finds the ghost, it's almost like a game. Because there's like a scene where she sets the chair down, and then the chair slides across the room, and she's like almost having a game with the thing.
Well, then she puts down the daughter with the helmet, with the football helmet. She's like, "Hey, check this out!" And she's like, "Whoa!"
And it's like a totally fun thing. Like it's like one of those things where like it's fun, and it's until like it crosses the line.
Yeah,
right.
And then it's like, what did we just get
Until
ourselves
caskets are popping up in the backyard pool or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So Poltergeist is definitely
Coach in the pool.
Coach. Poltergeist is definitely a movie to check out this Halloween. It's one of those like I would say starter movies like for our kids when they get a little older or whatever. Like maybe if they're 8 or something. There's
I would say older than that. It's pretty disturbing. I would say over 10.
I showed my kids that movie.
So all right, Jordan recommends 10. So this is a 10 and up movie. So Poltergeist, definitely check it out for Halloween this year. The next movie on our list is The Howling. It came out in 1981, and this movie is one of the first, not one of the first werewolf movies, but it's one of the first in the 80s where they had really cool, they were starting to get like that really good special effects on the transformation of the werewolves. And this is one of the movies where you kind of really start to see that kind of, I mean, if you look at the Wolfman from the Universals, like they kind of had that good
1940s,
transformation,
yeah.
But it wasn't like,
But that one was like stop motion with the stills where they do one shot, then it would slowly transition in the next shot where you have more fur or whatever.
So it was almost like a fade out shot.
Yeah.
Like they're coming, and this is more like the actual practical effects.
Singular shots of his like fingers growing and nails growing and stuff. Yeah.
And so that's the Howling. So the Howling was one of those movies where it just kind of like it kind of gave you that whole werewolf. Oh, it's not just like a wolf man, but it's an actual werewolf being transformed. It's definitely it's a slower paced movie. It kind of, it's very, I was going to say very German, but it's very,
it takes a while. It takes a while to build up, but up to the transformation scene. But once you get there, it is still noted as one of the best first like transformation scenes of all time.
Yeah, and so we're definitely telling you to check out The Howling this Halloween. But if you're going to check out The Howling, we're going to give you an add-on recommendation, which is An American Werewolf in London.
This is a classic.
And the reason we recommend both of these movies is because they both actually came out in 81.
Yeah, and this is a great double feature, by the way. If you put on, like, I'm going to do werewolf movies tonight, do The Howling and then American Werewolf in London.
And you have to see the actual, like, if you look at the practical effects of both, it seems like, I mean, they had to be friends, they had to be, like, in communication with each other, because the transformations on both, they kind of play off each other.
Oh, they're both stellar.
Werewolf in London is definitely more, it was more mainstream, where Howling was more B movie. But Werewolf in London, two friends are backpacking in London, and one gets attacked by a werewolf, or they both get attacked by werewolves. One survives, one is turning into a werewolf. And then it just goes into these, the process.
He doesn't know what's wrong with him until he's in the hospital. All of a sudden, he has this vision of his friend coming in.
Yeah.
Who has, like, flesh hanging from his face, like he'd just been, still, like he was dead, but he was attacked by a werewolf.
Yeah.
It's like his chest is ripped open, parts of his, like, his cheek are hanging open, stuff like that. And he's, like, eating the guy's food, like, and it's a super famous scene where he's, like, eating the guy's food and talking to him. He's like, yeah, I'm dead. I got attacked by that werewolf. Yeah. You left me alone. Like, you didn't help.
Yeah, like, you just, yeah.
And so the guy doesn't know that he actually got infected or whatever by the werewolf. And so he's slowly realizing that he's going to be turning into it.
Yeah, and so, this movie has one of the most random, disturbing scenes where the zombie Nazis, and that, I mean, when I saw that scene, I saw it as a kid, and I'm like I was creeped out because in the scene, his, like, kid brother and sister get wasted by these zombie Nazis, and the whole family, and then him, and I mean, spoiler alert, it turns out to be a dream.
Yeah, dream sequence.
But it's still a disturbing scene, especially if you're seeing it as a kid. Yeah. But anyways, that's the point of American Werewolf in London. We're not going to ruin it for you, but we just want to give you some quick hit points on that. So definitely this Halloween, if you're in the werewolf mood, double feature, check out The Howling and American Werewolf in London. Next movie on our list is Phantasm 2. It came out in 1988 and is a sequel to Phantasm, which came out in 1979. I'm not entirely sure why there's a 9-year gap in it, but it doesn't matter because our main protagonist in this movie is a guy by the name of Reggie. And Reggie is, I mean, he was great in the first one, but now we really focus on Reggie and how much he just kicks butt.
Yeah, he's the main protagonist in this one. It's no longer the kid. I'll be honest, it's been a few years since I've seen this one, so I'm trying to remember exactly what happens in it. But without going too much into the plot, definitely check it out. It's kind of like a Halloween Part 2, where it picks up right from where the first Halloween left off, or the first Phantasm left off. And but now Reggie's the main protagonist. I believe he has a shotgun now, and he's going to town in the movie. It starts with a great opening sequence where those little Jawa creatures are like invading his home in his kitchen and like attacking him. He's just blowing the crap out of him with his gun and stuff. But it's again, the Phantasm series, I think for all of us, is one where they're really fun. They're campy. They're interesting. It's got a weird plot, weird writing. It's got, the ball is back is the tagline, I think, for the movie. So it's got that floating ball with the spikes. It's got the tall man, of course, Angus Scrimm, R.I.P. But it's got a great cast, great writing, really funny. I'm not sure if this one's directed by Don Coscarelli as well, but anyway, look it up though. Check it out. It's probably on YouTube. It's probably wherever, but it's one you have to check out. If you saw the first one, and I highly recommend that you see the first Phantasm movie, see the second one, even see the third one, even see the fourth one, which we'll get to those later. But Part 1 and Part 2 are must for me for like Halloween horror movies. Though.
Yes, and Part 2 is a lot more punchier than what, like we said, Part 1 was it was very off the wall. Cuts were out here and there.
A little bit slower.
Yeah, Part 2 is punchier. It's got that 80s kind of punch. Let's just get to it and have fun and be campy. So it would definitely draw you in a lot more than Part 1, but definitely check out both of them. But right now we recommend Phantasm 2 this Halloween. Next movie on our list is Gremlins. It came out in 1984, and it is kind of, it's a Halloween / Christmas movie, if you will. Yep. So we might review this movie again for Christmas. Gremlins is a really fun movie because it has to do with a little gizmo creature. I guess he's kind of like I don't know what you'd think, like a hybrid of like a cat / like rabbit / dog /
But you just don't feed him after midnight or let him get water on him.
That's right. Because what happens if you feed him after midnight?
If you feed him after midnight, he becomes a gremlin.
That's right. So, isn't he already a gremlin?
Well, no. It makes him a gremlin, and if you drop water on him, it causes him to
replicate. You're right. And so, anyways, Gremlin is it's fun. It's campy. This isn't Steven Spielberg, right? Or is it?
No, this one is actually directed by is directed by Joe Dante, who actually directed Gremlins, The Howling, which you already reviewed, Gremlins 2, Inner Space. You guys heard that one, Dennis Quaid and everything? Not a horror movie. And he actually also directed The Burbs.
Oh, nice.
Piranha, Matinee with John Goodman, and a whole bunch of other movies. So this is directed by a really well-known and well-regarded director of like more kind of fun, funny movies. Like not just super serious, but really fun.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this one has a lot of great actors. I think we've said his name a ton already in all of our parts, but Corey Feldman's in this movie.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that guy's everywhere. I love that guy. But anyways, so the point of Gremlins is a dad buys his son this gremlin, and Gizmo is his name, and he kind of like, he's not supposed to.
I don't remember, are they toys or are they actual creatures?
No, they're actual creatures.
Yeah,
he buys it as a pet. He buys it from some like Chinese guy.
The same back alley guy.
The guy tells him when he goes to buy the gremlin, the guy actually won't sell it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And his nephew or something like sneaks out and tells him like, "Oh, here, I'll give it to you.
Give me $20, man."
Then when the kid sells it to him, he gives him like stipulations like, don't feed it after midnight, don't let it get wet, and the kid tells him all this stuff.
That's right.
And that's why the father or the grandfather or whatever won't sell it.
So anyway, so he gives him, gives the gifts to his son, and it tells him the rules. Which, if you think about it, it's really weird. These rules are really weird. Like, don't get water on him, and don't feed him after midnight. Like, okay, sounds like what I got to do now, so I can stay in shape.
That's what we do to our kids.
That's right. So, but anyways,
if you feed them after midnight, they're gonna be up till like 1 and 2.
So the movie turns into, it's this kind of fun, campy, like Christmas movie, like, oh cool, and then you get water on Gizmo, and then the gremlins start eating after midnight, and then that's where chaos just goes around town.
And that's when I had like 4 kids.
Yeah, and then that's where you had 4 kids. So, but anyways,
Boom.
Gremlins fun. The whole point is the guy's trying to like kill the gremlins now because they're causing havoc. They're making old ladies fly from
running amok.
They're running amok, making old ladies fly from their
like
house.
Their,
electric chair.
The electric chair that like goes up the stairs with the lady in it.
It's the movie's really fun and campy, and this is okay. I've said this like many times, but now I'm saying it again. This is one of those movies that if you have kids, it's 8. Is 8 okay to watch this movie, Jordan?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
I've let Audrey and Jackson watch it.
Okay,
and my kids are
and they're 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly. 9 and 10. I've let my kids watch it, and they've enjoyed it.
Okay, so Gremlins for a 9 and 10-year-old or 5-year-old, whatever.
It doesn't take itself seriously.
Not seriously. It's not. There's not really a lot of creepy parts. Very few deaths. Like it's not gory or anything. I think one of the teachers I guess it's insinuated that he dies because he gives the gremlin like a Snickers bar or something, and then he's like,
that's right.
He's like but he never it never shows him actually die, or maybe it does. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a while, but that's all I remember from that. But the thing is, it's not like really really scary, but it's definitely there's scary parts in it.
What you're trying to say is your kid's an idiot if you get scared from it.
Definitely. So have your kid man up, take it like a man, and watch Gremlins.
Even if it's a girl,
tell her to man up, take it like a man, and watch Gremlins. So anyways, Gremlins this Halloween or Christmas. So
exactly.
You have 3 months.
It's like a Die Hard
That's
film.
right. You have 3 months to watch this movie. So Gremlins. So these next batch of honorable mention movies are sequels. So they're movies that came out in the same decade of the 80s. And so the first movie on our list is Critters 1 and Critters 2. Critters 1 came out in 1986 and Critters 2 came out in 1988. The plot of Critters is they're these aliens, I guess you could say. They're from outer space. They're kind of like these little balls of creature. Little furry balls.
Furry balls.
They, I didn't even get that, but there we go.
Anyway.
And so they have like splinters and they kind of they eat the people and everything. And then these two like people who morph into different people or faces or whatever come from outer space.
Alien bounty hunters.
Yeah, there you go. Alien bounty hunters. And they come to
straight out of X-Files.
They're the Boba Fett's of the Critters
universe. Yeah. So they come and they try to eliminate the Critters. And so the first Critters takes place, it's pretty much isolated to like a house, more or less. And the house is kind of like...
It's like a barn in the middle of nowhere kind of thing,
Yeah, it's like a barn house, and that's where the Critters are, and there's like a family there, and so the bounty hunters are there, and they're like trying to get rid of the Critters, while the family itself is trying to protect themselves from the Critters and kill the Critters at the same time. Movie's really campy, really fun, and at the end of the movie, they kill the Critters, but then at the end sequence, there's like one egg in the barn or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's been done plenty of times. So then Critters 2 is, you know, that one egg hatches.
Sequel,
yeah. Critters 2 is that one egg hatches. There's multiple more critters, and this one takes place more in this is the Easter Bunny one, the Easter Sunday.
Oh my god!
And so there's tons of critters in the town now, and so now like they have to give a distress call to the bounty hunters again to come back and kill all the critters. And so part 1 was already really campy, but it was trying to be a little more scary. But part 2 is way just camp fact. I think the movie's like from 87 to 88. It was just like, let's just throw everything out the window and be who can be the most campiest. And this one has, there's like an Easter bunny for like Easter Sunday, and he gets wasted by the critters. And this is the one where they put the critters in the meat factory, and they're eating all like the hamburger patties.
Yep.
Yeah. And so then they blow it up with TNT, and they think they blow up all the critters. But what the critters did is they all bunched up together and made this super huge ball of critters. And there's a scene where the huge ball is like rolling. It's like a huge giant ball of critter. And like one of the farmers like trips, and he's like, "Argh!" and he gets rolled over by the critters, and then he's just like bones. The movie's really fun. It's really campy. Definitely like it's not really necessarily scary, but it's just entertaining. Like I said, I don't think it's scary, but it's definitely like one of those like campy, scary horror movies that you should definitely check out for Halloween because it's fun. Definitely check it out with a crowd. But it's entertaining enough if you just want to check it out by yourself. So I recommend Critters 1 and 2 this year for Halloween. So the next movie on our sequel list is Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
1 and 2. Return of the Living Dead 1 came out in 1985 and Part 2 came out in 1988. These movies, I don't think they're in the same universe as Night of the Living Dead. I think they're kind of just... No. They're just an homage to the Night of the Living Dead series, so they're called Return of the Living Dead. This movie's a lot more campier than the George A. Romero Night of the Living Dead, because even though some of those movies are campy, these movies are just straight 80s, factor nostalgia. And so Return of the Living Dead begins kind of... So these movies... Okay, so the zombies in these movies are more kind of because of like toxic waste, and kind of that's like the like scientific experiments of the military. So that's what kind of raises these these zombies up. And unlike the other ones where they just rise from the grave for whatever reason.
And you can't kill them the same ways either.
Yeah. And these zombies, I think these zombies talk.
Where the other ones, it was the first case of them saying brains.
So these are the
brains.
First one. Yeah. And so it's a lot more campier, a lot more kind of in your face of like, oh, this is a little more fun because like the zombies have a little more personality.
Right.
Where it's like before they were just kind of like mindless zombies, where they did whatever. So this one they have a little more personality, a little more character. I think
the special effects in these are great, by the way, especially the first one. Like, I don't think it had a super high budget. I could be wrong, but it was slightly lower to medium budget. But yeah, the special effects were great. Like you're saying, the dialogue and the writing is great. The directing is great. This definitely set a standard for the zombies going after brains specifically, like we mentioned before too. They're really fun movies. They're great to watch with a group of friends, because it's a great time to be able to just kind of laugh and have fun. Don't take themselves seriously. Like the Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead by Romero. They're all they're more serious, but also satires. They're social commentaries. This one is just much more like straight up 80s punk rock kind of whatever.
Yeah,
super fun, over the top, campy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like hidden message in it. I think it's just a fun campy movie. The budget was about $4 million, so it's a little like middle of the range budget for a horror movie. But yeah, so the whole point of the movie, really quick hit points on it. It's the toxic waste lifts up the zombies. And these people they're stuck in like a mortuary, I think it is.
Yep.
And so there's like the punk rock kids, the mortuary.
And of course, the cemetery is right outside where they are. And so all the zombies are attacking them right from there.
Yeah, so there's like the Undertaker, and then there's like his apprentice, and then the punk kids, and they're all trying to get rid of it. And some of them get eaten by zombies. One of my favorite lines is like, oh, how would you like to die? I can't remember her name. Let's call her Rosie, whatever her name is. How would you like to die? Oh, I'd just like to be eaten alive by a bunch of dudes. It's like, what a random thing to say to begin.
The punk rockers.
Yeah, the punk rockers. Yeah. It's like, what a random thing to say at first. And then, of course, it's like a foreshadowing of how she's going to die. A bunch of zombies eat her up. But anyways, so at the end of the movie, here's a spoiler, just a heads up. At the end of the movie, there's kind of like a call that they're going to nuke the city or whatever because they've been...
the National Guards come in, but they get overrun. Right?
Yeah, and so everything. Yeah. And so it's like they get compromised. So they're like, okay, call in the nuke. And so the end of the movie kind of ends with that scene. Like you just see like okay, drop the nuke. And they're like, and then it like freezes or whatever. So it's a really random ending, which then leads into Return of the Living Dead Part 2. And so this one's actually even more campier than the first one.
Yep.
Because it starts off with these kids and they kind of release like the toxins again. Because there's like another barrel of toxic military toxins or whatever. And so it raises another zombies. And this one has like kind of 2 or 3 different stories going on. It has like a kid. And so he's probably like maybe 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. And so there's like a bully who's chasing them. And then the bully turns into a zombie. And then his older sister and then her boyfriend. And they have a story that's going on. And then like another character. And so anyways, this one leaves the isolation of the mortuary. And it goes all the way to... around the town, around the whole city and everything.
Oh, that's
but it
right,
it just focuses on them though. There's no other like people mainly that focuses. So this one's a lot more fun. It expands the horizon of the zombies. This is the one where like at the end of the movie, like the zombies, spoiler, the zombies get electrocuted. And they're doing like the Thriller. There's like a Michael Jackson.
The Thriller dance.
There's a Michael Jackson like zombie doing like the Thriller like shake or whatever. And so, like I said, this movie doesn't take itself too serious. There's a lot of fun in it, a lot of campiness. Like I said, there's 3 different storylines kind of within the movie, and they all connect, or they're all within each other. So Return of the Living Dead, definitely check out Part 1 and Part 2, double features this year for Halloween. It's a fun group movie, or it's entertaining by yourself, either one, but definitely check it out this Halloween.
We are good shot.
And the next sequel on our list is Halloween 4 and 5. It is the direct sequel to Halloween in 1 and 2, because those 2 kind of went together. Then we kind of talked about that gap in there, Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. So the audience wanted Halloween 4 and 5. So Halloween 4...
Well, they wanted Michael Myers back.
Well, yeah, they wanted... Thank you. They wanted Michael Myers back. So Halloween 4 came out in 88 and Halloween 5 came out in 89. And so these two movies are kind of like Halloween 1 and 2 because Halloween 1 and 2 are directly correlated right after each other. So Halloween 1 ends, then Halloween 2 picks up right where Halloween 1 left off. So Halloween 4 ends and Halloween 5 technically picks off where Halloween 4 left off. So it's not like a standalone movie. They kind of go hand in hand. So Halloween 4, the way it picks up, it's really creepy because it's kind of like it leaves off where Halloween 2 where Michael Myers died in that fire blast in the hospital. And so like now like the state's saying like he's a human being. He can't be in this hospital. He's got to go to like prison or whatever. So like the med team goes to pick him up and then like he just ices the team. Like,
it's a great opening.
Oh, it's super creepy. It's super scary. And the main protagonist in this one is it's Jamie Lloyd. Or Jamie, is it Jamie Lloyd? Yeah, I think it's Jamie Lloyd.
Jamie is her name.
And you find out later that she ends up being
adopted by a family.
Adopted by a family, and she's technically Laurie Strode's daughter.
Right.
But you don't find that out till later, so sorry for the spoiler. But anyways,
crap! I haven't watched this one yet.
You haven't seen this one. But anyways, so the movie is you know, like in 1 and 2, Michael Myers was trying to. You don't know why he was trying to kill Laurie Strode, but in part 4 and 5, it's like you don't know why he wants to kill Jamie.
Right.
But it's implied that it's just because there's something he needs. Something.
Well, I think in part 2 you learn it's Laurie's his sister.
Yeah, Laurie's
if I'm not mistaken. And then in part 4 you learn that Jamie is Laurie's daughter.
Yeah.
So he's coming after her now.
And so there's just a direct connection where he just wants to. I don't know the whole idea. Or
he's
background.
got a few family issues.
He's got definitely family issues. So, but anyway, so Halloween 4 takes place for that. So Jamie is it kind of follows the same formula as the Halloween 1 and 2. You know, she's out. Jamie's a little girl. She's outcast. She wants to go trick or treating, all this stuff. And Michael Myers, once again, returns to Haddonfield, and once again, Donald Pleasance is there. He's a little more rugged, a little more.
He's got part of his face like burned from the blast in the hospital, even though Michael Myers is apparently like just obliterated.
Yeah.
Or burned beyond whatever. And Donald Pleasance just has this little scar on his cheek, which is funny. I never thought about it before until I watched it again like a few months ago, and I was like, oh, he should be a lot more messed up.
Well, you know, it's Donald Pleasance. Maybe he's just a lot stronger than Michael Myers.
Tough, man. He's tough.
He's like the Terminator.
Yeah. So, anyways, Donald Pleasance, once again, he's looking for, or Loomis, if you will, is looking for Michael Myers. And a great not opening scene, but it's still part of the opening scene. Maybe like 15, 20 minutes into the movie, he finds Michael Myers in this like abandoned like gas station.
Yep.
And like they have this like standoff, and it's really like creepy.
And Loomis shows how selfless he is, because he says, leave those people alone, take me.
Yeah.
And he literally is holding a gun, but he puts it down, like, or he holds his hands down, and he's like, take me if you're gonna take anybody. So he's clearly showing his character in this one, which in 5 it's totally the opposite, which we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But in 5 the script writing is horrible.
It's
in 4 it's really good. They do a great job.
So it goes back to Myers leaves the gas station. He blows up that gas station too, and so he. He takes off, makes back to Haddonfield. There's a lot of creepy things that happen throughout the movie. Loomis goes back to Haddonfield. He talks to the sheriff. He says, "Hey, this is going on."
Don't forget about the awesome car ride that Loomis hitches on the way to Haddonfield.
Oh, with the priest.
With the priest.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good with the drunk priest where he pulls out the bottle of Jim Beam or Jack Daniels or whatever. He's talking about the end of the world, and Loomis is sitting there. He's kind of like, Yes. You know, he's kind of agreeing with them or whatever. I don't remember the exact dialogue between them, but it's really funny, but it's also really haunting, like their conversation, because he's talking about the priest is talking about evil in general coming into the world and how he's kind of like trying to get away from everything, like civilization.
Yeah.
And you know, so he's just trying to get away, but he's like, I'm here to fight though too at the same time. Yeah. And Loomis is like, that's what I'm doing too. So it's a great scene between the two of them. Yeah.
It's such an awesome, like, one's talking more metaphorically while the other one's talking literally.
Yeah.
And so but so anyway, so like the atmosphere is super creepy. The movie's really creepy. It has great shots of like distant darkness where you see, you know, the shape. And
similar to the first Halloween. Yep.
Exactly. So the first Halloween, like, and I would say the first two, but definitely the first one, there wasn't a lot of gore. There wasn't a lot of blood. It was more atmosphere and more like kind of driven like that. 4 and 5 definitely take it on the other side where it's a little more gory, a little more kind of decapitations and kind of killings, but it's what it needed for the 80s. And I love Halloween 4. It's got great payoffs at the end, great setups. It's definitely it's called Halloween, and it's Halloween 4. It's a great movie that you need to check out. But anyways, I'm not going to give away the spoiler for the ending of part 4 because I don't have to give away the ending to tell you about part 5. So all I'll say is that in the end of part 4, it ends, and then part 5 begins.
The climax in the house, by the way, is great. It's really creepy.
Yes.
Where the sheriffs are there trying to protect the family, or Jamie's sister and her, and Jamie's sister's boyfriend, who tries to be the hero and comes in and he doesn't do too well.
Maybe he should have learned to shoot a shotgun. And,
By the way, it has one. It's the only spoiler I'm going to give is one of the characters gets one of the most creative deaths in all the entire franchise, where Michael Myers picks up a double-barrel shotgun and instead of shooting him or her, just drives it through them and spikes them to the wall, basically, through their abdomen.
I was like, that gun was loaded, right?
It's so good, dude.
But anyway, so at the end of Halloween 4, they this bounty of men or whatever, a militia. They kind of shoot Michael Myers.
They're shooting at everything.
Yeah, they're shooting at everything. So the militia, the bounty hunters, the sheriff, the cops, everyone, they corner Michael Myers, they shoot him, and he falls into a well or something.
It's a grave.
Okay,
an open grave.
An open grave. But it leads into in part 5.
That's part 5.
So there's a twist at the very end after that in part 4 that I'm not going to tell you, but you'll see it. So anyways, now going into part 5, it kind of picks off in Halloween 1, or recaps what happened.
It picks up where Halloween 4 left off.
Yeah, so they show the shooting again where they're shooting him and everything, and then he falls into the grave. But then it's so weird.
But it's a tunnel that now all of a sudden part 5, it's a tunnel that leads to the stream, and all of a sudden a river, and he's floating down the river.
So I don't know how it went into.
And you're going, what?
I don't know how it went to a grave that led into a stream that led into a river.
It made no sense.
And so don't go chasing waterfalls. So anyways, so what happens is Myers is still alive, and this guy, just random just kind of.
Shack on the side of the river guy.
Off the grid, he kind of gets Myers and kind of, heals him back.
He sees Myers is in, on the stream, the bed, totally out of it. He pulls him into his cabin. I remember this one. Pulls him into his cabin, and it's a year that goes by.
Yeah, it's a year. So he's, nursing them for a year, which is a really random thing. You'd think, okay, you're going to nurse this guy for a year? You're going to just call the cops or take him to the hospital?
Yeah, I'd be he matches the exact description of Michael Myers.
Whatever. So the movie starts. He's nursing him back, and Myers doesn't do. He's kind of in a coma, or who knows what.
Right.
Which kind of begs.
He got shot 35 times. So it makes sense.
You have to think about this, and now we're getting a little too technical, but I guess as an adult, I think about this now. So he's nursing this guy, Michael Myers, and it's so how are you feeding him for a year? How are you changing his diaper, going to the bathroom?
And then also, spoiler alert. Once he nurses him back to health for exactly about a year,
I was gonna say
Michael Myers just slaughters him.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the hospitality.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. Thanks for everything. Yeah.
Remember me as a peacemaker. So, anyways.
It's so dumb.
So, he ices that guy, and so now, I guess killing someone gave him the source of his power, and he's
like, oh yeah, Jamie. Yeah,
so,
I gotta go back over to Jamie.
So now he's back to Jamie. And so now, for some reason or another, once you see the plot twist at the end of part 4, for some reason or another, now Jamie's mute, so she can't speak for whatever reason.
Well, to be clear, too, at the end of part 4, she ends up killing her. It looks like she kills her mother.
Yeah, well, that was the
her
twist.
Stepmother.
That was the twist I wasn't giving away, but
sorry.
You spoiled that.
I'm sorry.
Man.
All right, so let's just recap here. At the end of part 4, since Jordan just spoiler warning here, Jamie ends up technically, I guess, killing.
You see through her mask, the first movie where you see through the mask of the young Michael Myers.
Yeah. So sorry about that, but so she kills the mother or injures her really badly.
In the ending of part 4, it looks like she killed her stepmom.
Yeah. And that's the famous no.
Yeah, Dr. Loomis is on the staircase going no, where Jamie's holding the bloody scissors. Yeah.
And so then in part 5, she's like, it's like a children's hospital. I don't think it's not like a mental ward or anything. It's just like a children's hospital. But she's like deaf now. She's like
pretty sure it's a mental hospital.
Well, maybe
she murdered her stepmother.
So
with
she's
scissors.
she's mute now. She can't speak, and you don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's so I don't know. I don't know if in real life she had laryngitis, and they're like, oh, let's just keep shooting. And so
I think it's just a horrible script because as it goes on, it gets worse.
So then she's there. She doesn't speak anymore, and she has like a companion, this kid who has like a stutter. And
Jamie.
Yeah. There's a kid Michael Myers is
he's right in front of you.
Okay, let's stop that.
I like you.
So I like you. So anyways, so there's that character. So they put seriously, this kid's got a stutter, and they put him in there, and not only that, but another spoiler right now. There's still a lot of spoilers in this one. Our main protagonist, that was the protagonist in part 4, she gets iced by Michael Myers really early in the film.
Rachel.
Is that
her name?
Yeah, Rachel. Yeah.
It's her stepsister.
Yeah, or foster sister, or whatever. And so then they introduce another protagonist who you don't really care about because it's like, well, where did you come from? And so then now there's this new.
What's her name? She's super annoying.
She's super annoying. She's all this stuff. So then you get introduced to her, and then after that it goes into you get reintroduced to Loomis again. And when I say you get reintroduced to Loomis, I say that because for some reason or another in part 5 they wanted to change Loomis's character from this very selfless, kind of warrior-like hunter,
humble.
Like he was the Van Helsing of the Halloween series, but now he's this total like jerk. Like
he like started at one point, not to give too much away to go with what you're saying. He's like asking Jamie about Michael because he realizes that, or he thinks that she may be able to see where Michael's striking next or where he is.
Well,
right?
they have like a connection now. Now they introduced this very like telepathic
this
connection.
Very convenient connection.
Yeah, it's just out of nowhere. Sorry. So now they have this connection.
But he starts like shaking her down and screaming at her in the hospital about, you know where Michael is, blah blah blah, and he's like really getting in her face and being mean.
Yeah. And so he's kind of like that. That's his personality in part 5 now. So it's very off-putting because you're like, that's not Loomis, but that's how he is in part 5. So part 5 goes around. There's a whole batch of characters that get murdered and everything. And even part 5, the mask, the Michael Myers mask they used was just really weird.
That's a good point. He looks totally different.
It's like kind of like Greaser Mike,
Yeah.
He's like slicked back and he's got like a pointier nose. It's like
it's not that classic William Shatner mask they used in the first one.
It's like a weird it's like cosmetic surgery Michael Myers. Like it just looks really weird. And so anyways, he goes into there's a lot that happens throughout the movie, but towards the end of the movie, Loomis is using Jamie as bait, which is so weird. And so it's like he's using her as bait. Which
I read, by the way, sorry to interrupt, Donald Pleasance hated his role in this movie, by the way. And it is noted that he hated Loomis's character in this movie because he said, I'm nothing like the first 3 appearances at all in part 1, 2, and 4.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of problems with part 5. I like it because it's it follows the same formula, but there's a lot of plot holes, a lot of things.
But 1, 2, and 4 are so much better.
Yeah, they're so
infinitely better.
So and part 5, Loomis is kind of a jerk. There's all these characters you don't care about, and they start. I mean, this is where they like
not really, just don't care about, but annoying characters.
They're annoying. So like you don't care if they die or not. You're like almost hoping, come on, Mike, get him.
Yeah, you start rooting for Myers.
And so then they introduce this whole kind of like the telepathic thing, and then this whole kind of like you see this guy coming off a bus, and he has like a marking on his hand. And so at the end of the movie, they finally catch Michael Myers. They like Loomis kind of drugs him with like tranquilizers.
He's in a jail cell.
He's in a jail cell. Yeah. And then this guy who has like a marking,
you never see his face.
You never see his face.
He's this dark silhouette.
Yeah. So at the end of the movie, he like shoots the whole police station and everything with like a Tommy gun or something.
Yeah, kills the whole sheriff or police force there guarding Michael Myers.
Yeah, and so then Jamie goes into the police station, everyone's dead, and I don't know where Loomis is, but everyone's dead, and then, she goes there and the cell's empty, and she's like, no.
Like Loomis.
Yeah, and that's how it ends. Yeah. And so then that's where the 80s Halloween series ends. Halloween 4, definitely a must. You got to check that one out. It relives the whole moment of the Halloween series. But, I am recommending Halloween 5 because you have to check out both of them. You'll see the contrast in them. But definitely this Halloween, Halloween's next week, check out Halloween 4 and 5. Honestly, check out Halloween 1 and 2, and then check out Halloween 4 and 5. Yeah. And then if you have time, check out Halloween 3. Check out all the Halloweens. But right now, Halloween 4 and 5, check it out this Halloween.